A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the program. Thank you for remaining with us. You're watching Smart 24, and we drive your business here. And definitely, this is Financial Markets. My name is Anthony, and I am your host for the program. I hope you had yourselves a wonderful night yesterday. It's the 28th of July. Of course, we are coming to the end of the month. And around this time, of course, quite many people are speculating. Of course, as we wind up the month, also coming in the middle of the year, going past the first half of the year, how have you been able to plan for your money? How have you been able to invest? How have you been able to save? How have you been able to increase your sources of income, especially your passive income? Definitely, here as Financial Markets, we advocate for investments. We advocate for savings. We advocate, of course, for investments, especially in the capital markets here in Uganda, to give you a chance to kind of have a feel of what it feels like to be an investor in such a big company like MTN, like East African Breweries, and the like. And of course, reminding you, our partners here are the Uganda Securities Exchange, who are the exchange that was incorporated since 1997 to be able to carry out securities trade. That is, they deal in securities such as the stocks, as well as the debt instruments like the treasury bonds and the treasury bills. And of course, the data we share with you here is courtesy of the Uganda Securities Exchange. And definitely, there are some of the people that are leading in the industry of exchange here in Uganda, but also in conjunction with Altex East Africa. Altex East Africa, together with Altex Clearing, of course, are our partners here as they give you a chance to invest across East African securities by simply dialing *292#. And then, of course, you can follow the prompts with that Zabu initiative using your MTN Momo Pay. And you can be able to buy securities across East Africa without need of an intermediate. You're doing this on absolutely your own terms, with your own money, with your own strategy, how you would want to invest. It's all up to you. Altex East Africa is giving you a chance, a hassle-free chance to be able to invest across East African financial markets. And of course, they have been able to do this in conjunction with Capital Markets Authority, who is the regulator of the capital markets here in Uganda. And they have been, of course, licensed to be able to carry out this. So you can be able to start your investment journey with Altex East Africa by simply dialing *292#. And when we talk about securities here on Financial Markets, we are talking about our products. Which products do we look into here when we talk about the financial markets? We talk about securities like the stocks, which we investigate almost on a daily basis here by giving you the top gainers, giving you which companies are having annual general meetings, giving you a little bit of how people can be able to trade, using your SCD account, how stockbrokers are faring, which stockbrokers are coming on board, and where can you find each and every one of these services. And of course, these stocks are various kind of companies that are listed on the exchange, list different number of shares, and they list on the main market segment, some list on the growth market segment, and some list also on the alternate market segment. But basically, we investigate here how companies are faring, and this helps us get to understand how we can predict some of the performances of the companies based on calculations of year-to-date performance, based on calculations of the internal, based on also the internal organization of the company, looking at the corporate governance, who are the heads of these companies, who are the people that are, of course, in charge of making sure that these companies are managed very efficiently so that they make profit and be able to give value to their shareholders. And so looking at all these factors on the stock market, they help us to learn more about how the stock market works. They help us also to get to invest wisely knowing that you cannot invest in something you don't understand. You must first of all have the basic knowledge at least, and of course even furthermore you might need even deeper knowledge as you go on investing further into a certain sector, because the more you understand, the more you're able to know the opportunities that the sector presents. So Uganda Securities Exchange of course offers these and more services, and of course they're coming up with many initiatives, like we are having a program known as $1, which is coming up of course on the Uganda Securities Exchange, giving you a chance to be able to list your small company. Of course, when we look at the companies listed on the main board of the Uganda Securities Exchange, we are looking at companies like MTN that have been here since 1998. You're looking at companies like maybe DFCU Bank. You're looking at companies like Stanbic that are well established, of course, with a very rich history, a very rich financial history. And so the Uganda Securities Exchange is saying, hey, let's have a program for the small and medium enterprises as well, and those that are still coming up, those businesses that are still in the pipeline. Instead of being able to wait until you qualify like the big boys, you can be close to the exchange and they can teach you baby steps from the baby steps. And these steps can be taken one at a time. And before you know it, you are worthy to be listed on the main board. And of course, they also still have the growth enterprise segment, which is for the growth. And of course, these are the small and the medium enterprises where they are listed, of course, to help them also gain capital very easily. One reason why the stock market is very, very important is because it provides patient capital to companies. Because look here, you're not going to have to pay interest on these monies that you're receiving from shareholders. And you can imagine, for example, the very first time the company, for example, Cipla listed on the exchange, probably they were looking for about maybe a couple of billions of money. But which bank here in Uganda or even across the world and in the foreign banking sector can lend you money at zero interest? None. And the financial markets definitely do that. You don't have to pay an interest. You just come and list on the exchange. People see that maybe your company has very good future prospects. Your company is managed well. And maybe they see that there's promising, of course, the company is promising. There's a lot of growth that people are seeing around your company. There's profitability. And this attracts people to invest in your company and helps your company to be able to take part in these capital reservation ventures, being able to accumulate quite a big capital from the public at a single setting without a single coin going into interest rates, like when we have the bank charges and the bank interest rates when we take the loans. So the capital markets really help the small enterprises, they help the bigger enterprises to acquire patient capital. This capital definitely is used by these companies to grow, to expand, to increase their production rates, to increase their capacities to produce, to maybe also increase their production lines, to be able to sell more, to be able to produce more. And then, of course, that comes with increase in revenues. It comes with increase in taxes that are contributed by these companies to government. And all these help the companies to be able to, grow. And of course, as the economy expands as well, but also the value of the shareholders sees growth whenever these companies are growing. Because every time a company is growing, people will be interested in buying that stock. And you know how the story goes. The more the demand of a particular stock, the higher, of course, the prices go for that particular stock. And you see that the more valuable, of course, that particular stock is on the market. And so all these factors come together, and we have what we call the stock market. And of course, this is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda. Every country has a Capital Markets Authority. Wherever there is an exchange, wherever there is trading in financial markets, especially talking about the stocks and the debt markets, we look at a regulator, because a regulator's role is to make sure that these companies are run the way they're supposed to be run, is to make sure that these companies are looking at profitability and, of course, adding value to shareholders, making the most of these shares that people are bought into a company. Of course, you need a regulator, because imagine a company closes after listing, and of course, there is no other place to run to. As well, the Capital Markets Authority is the body that is in charge of regulating the space. You want to invest as an investor in a space that is regulated with a very clear legal framework structure that can be followed through, of course, in case of any problems, in case of any glitches, or in case of any technicalities that may arise while doing business. As you know, business is a risky venture, and there's no business that is profitable but not risky. Every profit-making entity involves some sort of risk, and that is why you need a regulator who comes in between you and the market players to be able to regulate the space that we are looking at here, especially when it comes to the capital markets. And definitely also we have various products that have been designed in a special or unique way, and we usually want to remind you of this, because capital markets or financial markets are not fixed. They are very flexible markets. They have been innovatively designed in different ways, so that different products dealing within the same thing, however, can be able to give you different services. Now, we have what we call the unit trust, or the when we talk about the unit trust, we are talking about a collective investment scheme. Now, of course, due to various people that, of course, were playing in the sector, of course, due to the risks that were rising from, for example, investing only in the equity market, of course, people were wondering, if I'm to invest in MTN and shares are to go down and never to come back up, when will I ever get back my money? What if I don't find buyers? What if, there were so many problems surrounding, especially when we talk about the financial markets, the segments, investing in particular segments alone, investing in the debt market alone, investing in the stock market alone. There was always something lacking. There was always a gap. Now, the unit trust answered that question of how can I avert this risk? How can I be able to give people options to invest in the financial, necessarily exposing them to all these risks, or without having to specialize and investing in one thing, or without having to have billions of money so I can be able to make a little bit of profit, or making sure that my investment gives me return. Well, the unit trust came in handy, and of course the unit trust is managed by fund managers, the so-called fund managers, and these are firms, of course, still licensed by the regulator, the Capital Markets Authority. And these unit trusts, when we talk about the unit trust, the other name is the collective investment scheme. It's a more descriptive name of the trust. First of all, collective. We'll start with that. The word collective refers to collecting, putting together certain amounts of money, putting together funds, putting together different monies from different directions. So it's called a collective. Now, investment looking at, we are investing, but we are investing in financial markets. And scheme, literally, we're talking about the plan. We plan for this money, how it's going to be spent coin by coin. How is it going to be spent in such a way, not actually spent, how is it going to be invested in such a way that we have return on this periodically. We don't want to wait for a return in 10 years. We don't want to wait for a return in 30 years, like maybe investing in a treasury bond worth 30 years. We want to see a return on investment, at least on a periodic level, maybe a daily, actually, on a daily, when we talk about on a daily count. We want to see that how much can I get back every single day from my investment. So due to these, of course, a demand for a different product, something that puts together money, something that is, kind of averts the risk, something that is more liquid, something that you can easily turn cash into, rather than like the equity market, which takes like 3 days settling a claim and 3 days being able to buy, 3 days, all this time lag, it's cut out by what we call a unit trust. And this unit trust or collective investment scheme, people get money. The fund managers are able to collect money from different investors. And of course, these different investors have different risk appetites. They have different likes. They have different goals. Based on their goals, based on their risk appetite, based on their interests, this money is invested on behalf of the investors. And when these people do the investment, they promise you a daily return on that particular investment you're actually making. So meaning you don't have to wait a whole year to see your money grow. And then you have a little bit of interest coming in your way at least every other day. And these interests are currently ranging from around 10% to around 12% maximum. But we're calculating now that as an annual interest rate. And then you break it down into a monthly interest rate. And then later you break it down into a daily interest rate. And these are returns on a daily. And I'm telling you, depending on how your risk appetite is, or depending on your goal, these are some of the best ways to start for an investor, especially if you're new in the investment of financial markets and you quite don't understand the stock market very well. You don't understand what the bonds are all about, and you would want someone to help you maybe invest across all these markets. The unit trust is the way to go, because first of all, it's very liquid. In case of any problem that you would want to address with your money, you can get back a full amount of your money within 2 days. Yes, and of course this depends on entirely the fund manager. We have a couple of fund managers around. Some of them have been here on the show, but fund managers like Sanlam Investments, fund managers like Zeno Investments, fund managers like UAP Old Mutual. Maybe we have also ICEA Lion Asset Managers. We have people like maybe you have yes, those UAP. You get all these people have come on board with this product because of how flexible, because of how liquid it is. And depending on the reports we had, that in the first quarter of this year, that's from the month of January to the month of March, the year 2022, according to the Capital Markets Authority quarterly bulletin, we saw that there was a growth of over 47.4% of these collective investment schemes are growing to up to 1.15 trillion Ugandan shillings within that quarter. That's how much people became so aggressive with saving, probably because of the pandemic, but also probably because of how people have come to understand actually how important it is to put money aside in savings, but above all to put it in an investment. Personally, I have a Zeno account, and this account helps me kind of track my my savings. And of course, I see growth on this money every single day. I'm telling you, even if it is a very small amount, but it's growth. I mean, you have money on your account, maybe you deposit 50,000, and in the next couple of days, 2-3 days, you find 50,100. Now, tell me which business, without your input, does that for your savings? Very few businesses, none actually. In matter of fact, without you putting in effort. And this is exactly what unit trusts are doing. They are helping people grow their savings. And the more you keep this money with the unit trust, the more you become patient, the more you don't have the urge to withdraw very quickly, the more your money grows. The more your money grows. And exactly how these markets work, how these unit trusts work, entirely is about investing in the financial markets. These fund managers have a full-time job of making sure that their investors' money is invested in assets that are making returns. And these assets are the assets we talk about on this particular show. Stock markets. We're talking about the domestic equities here, domestic stocks. We're talking also about the regional equities like in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam Exchange. We're talking about Nairobi Securities Exchange. We're talking about investing in the debt markets, the instruments, like the treasury bonds and the treasury bills. We're talking about also corporate bonds. And all these are invested in such a way that these returns can come in. But since these fund managers have investors coming in from all directions each and every single day, and people are bringing monies, if you request for your money will be available within at least 2 business days. Yes? And so this is the beauty of trust. If you're skeptical about investing directly in the stock market, skeptical about you can start little. Start with a unit trust. You can start with investing all that saving you're putting aside on your monthly salary. You can put it aside and put it in a unit trust. That unit trust will make you a little more return, but above all, it will be a liquid asset which you can be able to get back as soon as possible. And definitely that is an eye-opening, very eye-opening idea there for people that are looking at investing. If you're out there, you're thinking, maybe I don't have what it takes to invest in the stock. I don't have what it takes. I don't have enough money. Join other investors. Join other investors in the investment with the investment of the unit trust. I've told you the unit trust fund managers, including Zeno Investments, including UAP Old Mutual, including Britam Asset Managers, including Genafric Asset Managers. There are quite a number of them. All you have to do visit the website of the Capital Markets Authority and look for the licensed fund managers. They're called fund managers and not stockbrokers, because stockbrokers deal entirely in the stock markets, and these fund managers are able to deal in all these other markets. They're able to go into the stock market, they're able to go into the debt market and the like, and the commodities market in case it's there. But the bottom line here is these unit trusts or collective investment schemes are aimed at growing people's savings by putting them together. And what's the beauty of putting them together? Putting together funds helps them to grow. Meaning, me as Anthony, if I have 100,000, I can only go as far as buying one bond, maybe at 100,000, yes. Or maybe I have 100,000 and I want to invest in the stock market. Maybe I can go ahead and buy, let's say I can buy shares in Stanbic, maybe about 100 shares. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm as able as, I can only invest as far as 100,000 can go. But imagine I have 100,000, there's Angela who has maybe another 200,000, there's Shakira who has maybe 200,000, and Brenda, and so on, and we put our money together. Imagine what that money would do. Maybe we have 1 million shillings now. Now, when you go to invest in a treasury bond with 1 million shillings, that return is not the same return you get as going to the market with only 100,000 shillings. Meaning, you're going to go to the market with big money, and you're going to come out with a bigger return. That's the beauty of the unit trust. Bringing together funds, bringing together people to invest collectively. When you invest as a team, teamwork makes the dream work. Yes, like the dream, of course, a statement goes. When you invest as a team, much as you don't know each other, you don't know how much who is investing, and you don't care, but you put together that money and through a fund manager, your investments are going to bring in more returns than they would if you invested one by one. And this is why unit trusts are very, very important. I hope you picked something from that as well. You can reach out, like I said, to several of these asset managers. I've mentioned some of the names. There are not very many. There are really not very many in the market. So you can just visit Capital Markets Authority and then look up for the licensed fund managers. You'll see Zeno, you'll see Britam Asset Managers, you'll see UAP Old Mutual, you will see Sanlam. All these have their specific interest rates. There are various ways of doing things, but the bottom line is they deal in the same product, which is called the unit trust. And trust me, you try it, you will tell me about the beauty of how you see money growing. You will even be forced to save, because imagine if you're saving and there's no return, there's nothing to attract you to save. But if you're saving some money and every time you check your account, the money you're saving is growing. This is the beauty, and this is what will force you to save, and of course will help you to also grow financially. But these unit trusts don't only deal with individuals, they deal with investment clubs. If you have an investment club at work, you can go to the fund manager and buy a unit trust as a group. If you have maybe a pension scheme at your workplace, all these pension schemes, all these investment clubs should always be aimed at diversifying investments, at growing the money of the savers, making sure that that money comes with a little return. Of course, that story, we shall continue with it on another day, but of course we have to look into the stock market as it played out yesterday. We are going to do that after the break, but of course, just to peep into the market here, we see that the index went up due to some trading that was done on the market. We see that we had three top gainers, that is including East African Breweries, Equity Bank Limited, and Jubilee Holdings Limited, who went up. But on the losing side, we had several losers here and there. We had Wumeme coming in at the bottom, and NMG, we had Centum, KCB, and a couple of others. Stick around if you want to know more about what happened on the stock market yesterday. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick breather.
Smart 24, driving business.